Clint Eastwood, one of Hollywood's most iconic actors, walked through the doors of an upscale luxury salon in the heart of the city. His face was hidden beneath a simple baseball cap, and he wore a casual jacket, nothing extravagant. As he entered, the receptionist glanced up from her phone, giving him a once-over
Subscribe to
before
my
looking
channel.
back down. To her, he was just another aging man looking for a haircut. The salon was buzzing with the chatter of wealthy clients, their conversation barely audible over the soothing music in the background. She barely acknowledged him, dismissing him with a cold glance. "You must have made a mistake. This place is for high-end clients," she said without looking him in the eye. Clint raised an eyebrow but didn't argue. He simply nodded, waiting for his turn. He was used to being respected, but this time, he didn't expect any special treatment. As he sat down, he couldn't help but notice the judgmental glances the staff exchanged, unsure whether he belonged in their exclusive salon or not. "Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to stick with us to see how this encounter unfolds." Clint was seated in the chair, ready for his haircut, but the hairstylist, a young woman named Sophie, seemed uninterested in doing her job. She eyed him from the mirror as she prepped her tools, her eyes subtly scanning his attire, simple, nothing flashy. "Another old man trying to blend in with the rich, huh?" she muttered under her breath, barely audible. Clint's weathered face stayed calm, though the words hit a nerve. Sophie didn't realize who she was speaking to, dismissing him as just another man trying to enjoy a taste of the high life. She made several remarks to her coworkers, sneering about how celebrities thought they could walk into any place and be treated like royalty. "Just because they're on screen doesn't mean they're anything special," she scoffed. Clint's face remained impassive. He wasn't one to make a scene, but his pride stung. He'd worked hard for the respect he'd earned over the years, and to be dismissed as an ordinary customer left a bitter taste. Still, he said nothing, choosing instead to focus on the sound of the clippers in Sophie's hands. As Sophie continued her work, Clint noticed one of the regular clients, a well-known socialite, stepping through the door. She froze as soon as she laid eyes on Clint, her expression turning from one of casual indifference to sheer disbelief. She looked at him and then back at Sophie. "Wait, is that Clint Eastwood?" she asked, barely able to contain her shock. The room fell into an awkward silence. Every head in the salon turned, their eyes widening with realization. Sophie's hands froze midair, the clippers buzzing quietly in her grip. The receptionist, who had initially dismissed him, quickly moved to Clint's side. Her previous coldness vanished, replaced with a nervous, apologetic smile. "Mr. Eastwood, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize who you were earlier," she stammered, visibly panicking. Her cheeks flushed red with embarrassment. Sophie, realizing her grave mistake,
Subscribe to my
dropped her
channel.
gaze and muttered an apology. But it was clear that the damage had already been done. Clint simply sat there, an almost imperceptible smirk crossing his face. He knew exactly what was going on. People were always quick to judge based on appearances, but rarely did they consider the story behind the person sitting before them. Sophie, now visibly flustered, rushed to Clint's side, hands trembling as she tried to make up for her earlier rudeness. "Mr. Eastwood, I had no idea who you were. Please forgive me for being so rude," she said, her voice apologetic, her face now crimson with embarrassment. The receptionist was quick to add, "We'll take care of everything, free of charge. This treatment is on the house. Please let us make it right." Clint, who had been quiet throughout the ordeal, finally spoke. His voice was calm, steady, with no hint of anger, just quiet wisdom. "It's all right," he said, his eyes meeting hers through the mirror. "No harm done. You know, it's a good reminder to never judge a person by how they look. We all have a story, but sometimes it's hidden beneath the surface." His words were simple, but they struck a chord. Sophie's eyes widened, realizing that this encounter had turned into more than just a mistake. It had become a moment of learning. The staff, once dismissive, now stood around him, offering sincere apologies and bowing their heads in respect. Clint's grace was palpable. He wasn't angry, only understanding, teaching them a lesson they would remember forever. As Clint finished his haircut and stood up to leave, the atmosphere in the salon shifted. The staff, once so quick to judge, now watched him with newfound respect. They were still whispering among themselves, murmuring about how they had treated one of Hollywood's most legendary figures like any other client. The receptionist, still mortified, whispered to the others, "Next time, remember, you never know who might walk through that door. It could be someone who's changed the world." As Clint made his way toward the exit, Sophie hesitated for a moment, then looked up at him with a look of admiration. He gave her a small nod in acknowledgement before stepping out of the salon. The door closed behind him with a soft chime, and the staff was left in stunned silence, reflecting on the lesson they'd just learned. "Maybe it's time we all show a little more humility," Sophie murmured, as the others nodded in agreement. Clint Eastwood had come to the salon as just another man, but he had left as a reminder of the
Subscribe to my
importance of
channel.
respect and not underestimating anyone based on appearances. If you enjoyed this powerful story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.